Hey, good morning, everybody in Facebook land. It is Jillian. So I am up early because, wow, a lot of stuff I was thinking about and trying to solve and put together because it's like a challenge, like putting together a puzzle piece. I used to put together those jigsaw puzzles, well, those smaller puzzles, and you're just hunting for this color or this shape. And it was it was a test in patience. And that really can help train the mind when it needs to slow down and just focus on like one thing. And so that's kind of how right now I conduct my life, is focusing on a few things that are very important, and everything else is just distractions. So I just stay away from all that stuff. That's why I say no private messages unless it's like a testimony or an update without going overboard, because people can update themselves all over the place. And I don't need to blow by blow up everything, just the main things. Okay? So anyways, I figured out that the sun is the virus because I did those screenshots of the virus, of like the coronavirus, the herpes virus, the AIDS virus, the yellow fever virus. And I knew the sun had some kind of influence with viruses, but I didn't really know. Like, I had to figure out, where do viruses come from, because they just don't appear. But then I remember like Lucifer and light and data and intelligence, and the light, and Lucifer is a bringer of light. The Catholic Church knows this. They are also in the esoteric knowledge of the Trinity. And so I'm like, okay, so people are afraid of viruses, and viruses hold intelligence, they hold data, and they also have transducers. So there's electricity inside viruses. They also have metal inside of them, like iron ore. Like iron is a main component of viruses. And also iron is the main component in blood, in cells. Iron is one of the components in lava. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some net connections here. And then here we go. Then there's then we have the planets, and then we have, okay, dark matter and light matter. And then what is like virions? And what's the difference between virions and viruses? And a virus is data. Okay, it's like a platform of data that gets uploaded to a specific device, or a specific, device that has a specific purpose. When it comes to virions, virions is what inseminates the host to upload the DNA or the data. And so you have a virus that has energy and has data, and then you have the virions, which is those little penetrating vectors that is like a shot or like a stinger, like on a bee or a mosquito, and that uploads the data from the virus into its host, thus causing an upgrade. Okay, and so the sun sends off viruses through fission, and then fusion happens obviously with elements, and then the viruses then turn into virions, because then the microbiome, which is made up of viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria, and that all has to do with image, which is electromagnetic radiation, or God, I'm trying to remember all the things that I did. Electromagnetic. Oh, I gotta look that up. Image. That's right. I gotta look up that image. That's right. Hold on a second, because this is all gonna have to go into. I didn't think about that. This is just really getting my mind. Okay, my content, image. I have to remember. I memorize all these things. Image. Okay. Oh, wait, was that the glossary? Would that be in the glossary? Anyways, I know image is electromagnetic radiation, gases, acids, and okay, now I gotta look for it in here. But I gotta know this because this is everything is related. Okay, electrical input, gases, acids, and matter. That's what it is. Okay. Jeez, IMAGRE. Okay. So anyways, so that's what creates, so the image is then the fusion. Those are the elements. The fusion, that's everything. I'll find a way to explain this much better. But the virions are what then inseminates the biodiversity. But biodiversity is all that stuff that I said about the microbiome. And that is then on top of the fusion of all the dust, the space dust. Okay? So I don't know when the first sun came to be. Like, I don't know the first sun, because there's many suns. Right now we're looking at our solar system or our galaxy, the Milky Way. And there's like the Andromeda galaxy. There's other galaxies out there, which probably has intelligent life, probably even more advanced than we are. But right now, I'm kind of looking at just the Milky Way. And we have, and of course, the inverse square law, why we have life on Earth. And maybe there's life in other places, but I don't know. But there may be life, but a different form of it because of the inverse square law of the intelligence closer to the sun. So when you're closer to the sun, if you can handle the heat, then maybe you might be more intelligent. So there could be life on Mercury, maybe life on Venus, but maybe not at the surface, maybe underneath, underground. So that way they're not getting hit so hard by the heat. Maybe there's Martians, or maybe there's Jupiterians. Okay? So the fission and the fusion is the energy, the laws of motion that causes then all the solar system and the gravitational pull and all of that to work together. Okay? And so then I'm looking at the core, like I said, the core in the viruses and in like, well, okay, I already went over that. The viruses and the sun and the virions, they all have iron core that also is what repels and attracts the elements to then cause, and I have to figure out how to say this in an order, like how, because first it is the laws of motion that cause the trajectory through space. So light matter and dark matter are still viruses, and dark matter are probably viruses that are not influenced so much by the light, but they're still influenced, but there isn't light to give them the intelligence. Well, hold on a second. The viruses are latent, so the viruses are latent. The dark matter, I'm trying to think. The dark matter still is influential, and it's still energy, so it's still electromagnetic radiation, because it does give off by the sun. The sun gives off electromagnetic radiation field, and then the light gives the intelligence. But if you are not exposed to the light, then that electromagnetic radiation field is just chilling for a while until something comes through and causes little conceptions, little explosions, little fissions. Okay, and so I'll have to figure out how to explain light and dark matter in a way that makes sense. But then I was looking at the lava, and lava is like the blood. The lava and the fire and the sun are all working together. They all have the intelligence. So that's why that's why we have atmosphere on Earth, because of the sun, and from the volcanoes, because they spew up the stuff to create the atmosphere. So they destroyed the dinosaurs and they gave us the mammalians. If you get too close to a volcano, it'll eat you up. You get too further away from a volcano, that's great. I mean, I'm here in Ohio. I used to live in California, and I did go to Mount St. Helens, and I've been to Mount Shasta, I've been to Hawaii. Okay, went to their volcano. Here, I don't know of any volcanoes over here. There's none that I know of. So, but I'm further away enough, but still, when the volcano spews up a lot of stuff and goes into the atmosphere, into the stratosphere and all that, and goes into the jet stream and the Gulf Stream and all of that, then it brings like dust, and it could create darkness throughout the land, of which then life would die if there's not enough sunlight to get through. So, I mean, I don't know if it'd die, but I'd say that life and intelligence would diminish. So that's why I'm saying light, too much light, you have so much intelligence that there's no organization, okay? And that's when, the host dies from too much light. I mean, you guys have heard about that you can use UV rays to kill off a virus, but you don't kill viruses, you just set them free and you kill the host. And so that virus is still in a world of light unless it's dark. Like right now it's dark. So our viruses are still, they're still dealing because we are Like I'm in light right now and it's activating my virus. But when I go to sleep at night, it was the viruses go to sleep. So maybe that's what it is. Okay, I don't know if dark matter. Dark matter is like going to sleep. Okay, and then like when your alarm clock wakes up, that's energy, right? So, or when someone shines a flashlight in your face, that's energy, and so it causes you to wake up. And so, yeah, I think the dark matter out there in the universe, if you're trying to figure out how to explain dark matter, there's still viruses out there. There's still intelligence, but it's not being woken up. What wakes up intelligence is when light comes through from the laws of motion. When you have all this fission energy, the virions, the viruses turn into virions, and they're from the solar flare, sending off stuff into the universe, colliding with things in its path. And then you have all the different the different planets, but we are in one solar system called the Milky Way, or one galaxy called the Milky Way galaxy. It's a solar system. And that's how our world works. And so I know the sun, which is the orange giant, is sending off intelligence and light. And so that's why the Incas and all the different old tribes and stuff were sun worshippers, because yeah, they probably saw things come out of the sun. And I guess there is something about the five suns. There's the original sun, and I think it kind of goes along the same lines of the Greek mythology. They were visited by visitors. Okay, we probably have visitors now, but it's probably not what you think. They probably look just like us. Okay, but maybe a bit more advanced. So that makes sense, because right now it's dark. Like I'm up before dawn, but I'm still awake. There's still intelligence. But you're supposed to go to sleep, right? So the dark side of the universe is the sleep side of the universe, and then the awake side is when there's light that's casting its light. And the people who only work at night and don't get a lot of sunlight, they're a little cuckoo. I'm not saying they're bad. I mean, there's people who work graveyard shift all the time, but right now in our society, people die anyways, right? And so people are dying from, they're working that day and also working at night, but the graveyard workers probably have a shorter lifespan because they're not working the normal circadian rhythms that when you're supposed to go to sleep. Your viruses and body are supposed to go to sleep at night so it can repair and possibly get at one with the universe. And then during the day, you get all active and take care of your body to make sure everything is good. And at night, the universe takes care of you. And so that's kind of like I think what light and dark matter is. Light matter is just the intelligence awakened, and dark matter is the intelligence asleep. So I think that's the best way I can explain, because there's still viruses. Viruses still run everything. That's what the main thing is I had to make sure that was understood, because the sun is a virus, and it's what powers the microbiome. Because without the sun, you don't have a microbiome. You have death. Just go look at like Pluto. There's 8 planets, yes, but they don't have the 9th planet, which is Pluto. So I don't even think they consider it a planet. That's why it's not being said it's the 9th planet. So yeah, so the inverse square law is the closer you are to a light source or intelligence, the more intelligent you become. But then remember, you have to think of just your body too. You can't be like hanging out on Mercury thinking you're going to survive it and be all intelligent. There must be other forces involved to protect you from that very aggressive energy. And it's a lot of data. A lot of light is a lot of data. And that data will also activate other things in your body. And if you're not supporting that data correctly, you won't survive. And that's the thing, when people have autoimmune disorders and they're out and they don't know it, and it's very latent, and they do a lot of things, like very aggressive things out there in the environment, the heat, the cold, the stress, the whatever it is that they're doing to their body, the running, the exercises, could actually trigger autoimmune disorders because they're not supporting their body correctly to take care of already what's within them that is latent. Okay? So when you wake everything up all at once, it's like Mercury. You're like, I'm in pain. Oh my God. It's a lot of energy, a lot of fireworks. That's why Julie just got a lot of bad press, because there's a lot of data that was waking up like all at once. And it's a lot more than people can handle sometimes. Not that they couldn't handle it, but they don't understand it. And so And so that's the thing, is that you do have a lot of intelligence within you. It's just been put to sleep because of low sodium diets, the medical holistic industry, people's aversion to new information, their distractions or drugs or alcohol, all that stuff. And so that's why there's a lack of real evolution in our society, because everyone are in their different little compartmentalized distraction modes and formulas of what they think life is, and they expect to pass away, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They will, because they expect to. So anyway, so the inverse square law is, then the further you away from an object or from an influence, then the less it has any influence over you. So being the third planet from the sun isn't a bad thing, or the third rock from the sun isn't a bad thing. We're not too close to data, we're not too far away. We have, circadian rhythms of the planet spinning. So like watching the sun go from the left to the right, and it's kind of cool, though you can see pictures of it in like time-lapse photography. And so you can watch, that's the day, half the time, the 24 hours that we run is that you work, the other half you sleep. You fit in some kind of relaxation that, kind of get your mind off of doing work all the time. Okay? And so the volcanoes, the sun, the fire, right now the fires in California, yeah, they're destructive, but it's going to be a whole new world once the humans that are not really taking care of themselves and are just in a very regimented, unevolving state are taken away from those areas, and they're herded off into other places where they're going to have to go and fight the battle of survival. Then they can allow those parts of California to grow back in and maybe be managed in a different way. Maybe the weather will change down the road when we finally herd humanity in different places and let the cream rise to the top. Because that's what these human habitation zones are. It's like a battle. You bring everyone together and see whose microbiome is the most fit. That's what it comes down to. That's why we are being herded into different human habitation zones, because it is survival of the fittest. And survival of the fittest comes with knowledge, and it comes with balance, and it comes with feeding your mind the things that are going to help you, because it doesn't matter what other people do in your world. It really does. I mean, it does and it doesn't. It depends on who you're with. Like with my husband, I do the best I can to keep him on the straight and narrow, but he has his own mind, and he'll do what he does, and he'll take my advice on certain things. Other times he doesn't. But it really is about you taking care of you and making sure your immediate world is balanced and gives you enough room to grow. Okay? It's not about saving other people. I learned that a long time ago, though I still want to save other people. But I learned that even when you try to, and you give 100%, you give 1,000% to help them, to save them, to support them, it's like the take, and no give back. Not that I expect to give back, but you really have to get a return on your investment. Like literally a return on your investment. And if you don't get a return on your investment, then why are you investing something that gives you no return? Okay, so that's the whole law of finance, is returning on investments. And that's when you have to figure out what is the best return. And really investing in you is the best return on your investment, because it's so guaranteed. You know when you can work, and you know when you can't. Okay, you really can't depend on anyone else. I mean, you can try, and then you gauge on who it is you partner up with to figure out what do they have at stake. What would cause them to want to work and want to take care of themselves? Okay, and so you find the people in your world that you can work with and depend upon on some level, not on everything, but enough to keep both your worlds symbiotically going. And that's what our community is about symbiosis. I depend on my government to keep the infrastructure, because I can't go and filter out water. I can't go and build the buildings and the roads and the cars and the things I need to do my daily activities. So there's a symbiotic relationship with me and my government. And then they're trying to figure out how to balance out the population, because we do have a lot of people that don't give a shit. We do have a lot of people that just really don't care, and you can't tell them to change their lifestyle. You can't tell them to do anything. And so then you let Mother Nature figure it out. And that's why the virus is leveling the playing field. And so, yes, the Hunger Games, let the best man win. But it's not hand-to-hand combat. It's microbe to microbe combat. And if you understand this, you understand the art of war and how all that works, doesn't mean they're trying to destroy you. They're giving you options. Though it's not like obvious, like here, do a chili juice or do this antibiotic or just eat this food and that's it. I mean, they're kind of doing that, but not really like laying it out like on a menu and then you're weighing out the pros and cons. It's almost like you have to have a sixth sense to figure out what the deal is here. And some people are missing the sixth sense because, yeah, they've backed themselves into a corner and they like their lifestyle. And so if they say, well, I believe people should die, then it would just give them the justification to keep continuing to do whatever they do. And so that's also the world that we live in. So anyways, I'm glad I figured out the trinity of biodiversity is the virions, which are those circular type of viruses with little vectors. And they are almost like the oil drills, and they go in and upload data into the cells. And what the issue is with all the vector therapeutics out there is the data that's being uploaded is trying to destroy your evolution. However, if it comes to mandatory for whatever reason, for some parts of industries out there, the salt is the cure. Salt will neutralize anything that's overly active, and new programming will have sodium in it with activation sequences that'll be more than yours. And so when you do J juice, right afterwards, you'll cure that or neutralize those programming from the outside vectors. And you also activate your agonist antibody cell replication, cell generation sequence, of which you will feel then all your other viruses and your army wake up, and your primary antibodies that will also regenerate, but also do a search and destroy of anything that it is an invader. And that's the whole point of the J-juice mentality, even with the mandatory therapeutics, because you still get them through people secondhandly. So even if you get it firsthand, it's not going to hurt you. Secondhand, you're already exposed. Now you get another person's DNA with that. And I've been exposed to those who've been recently vectored, and my body went through its evolution, and I was coughing and sneezing and going through all that. And I survived, and my body still maintained online. And I got a bit smarter. Okay? So that's how you have to look at what goes on right now, is we're in a war of the Hunger Games at the micro level. If you read The Art of War and you read all the different quotes, you'll see everything that's in The Art of War is exactly what's going on in politics, religion, and science. Okay? The Art of War is in the politics, religion, and science right now. And so I just say, you guys, feed your brain with information that is going to help you in the future. Feed your brain, go down the rabbit holes of science, go down the rabbit holes of like viruses, virions. I looked up assays, ASSAYS, to figure out how do you detect a virus in a solution. Oh wait, it has iron ore, it has metal in it. That's what is the detectable energy source that you can see through an electron microscope. Or if you didn't have any energy, you wouldn't see it. But it's the light, it's the energy from the virus is what's detectable in an electron microscope when you're looking for different viruses that are afflicting different hosts. Okay? And I'm like, oh, then there's iron in cells, because you need iron in your blood. There's iron in cells. There's iron in the sun, and that sends off the virions. There's viruses in the sun sending off virions. The sun is helium and hydrogen, with electromagnetic radiation being sent off, kind of paving or giving the grid, and then all the viruses are riding that grid. And there you have the dark matter, which is the asleep viruses at night, and then the light matter is the awake viruses, because it's being energized by the light. And if that makes freaking sense. So I think viruses are what is the root of dark matter and light matter. Because I've been watching some of the documentaries on Netflix, and some of these, like Werner Herzog, who is a producer or filmmaker, he made one of these films called Into the Inferno. And then there's other films that he made that was on Netflix. about the unknown or something, and they were talking about, well, we don't know what dark matter is. And so a microbiologist was going to go and meet with a physicist and see if they could figure out how to merge their two languages together to find out if there's anything that they missed with each other's industries, that they could share information and collaborate. And so I'm like, oh, wait, light matter, dark matter, viruses, iron, this and that. I mean, the volcanoes and the trinity of biodiversity, and oh my God. And so my mind was just like, holy crap, there's more, there's more, there's more. So anyways, but I wanted to, and then I figured out how to break down when I looked at what sun was and Lucifer and Data and the light bringer, and everyone's saying that Lucifer is the devil. That's all the religion BS. That's all the Illuminati conspiracy stuff, which there's some elements of truth. However, Lucifer is not the devil. He is a light. There really is no devil. When you think about it, it's just what would give something to something, what would take away. And the devil is relative to your perception. There really is no devil per se. I mean, when you look at the volcano and the caldera and all that lava is just like boiling and throwing its stuff up and exploding and bubbling, people could say that's hell, but that actually is data. That's intelligence. But you get too close to intelligence, it'll burn you. You get too far away, you'll be dumb. So you have to learn how to balance out the intelligence in your world, because so much information can kick your ass, and not enough information, you'll be like a jellyfish. Okay? And so that's what's going on with people age, is they turn into jellyfish because the light in their body is dimming. And that's sad to watch, but it's our world. But as long as you know that's our world, you don't have to end up like that, but just understand what goes on. So, my notes. Anyways, I'm going to go, but I wanted to give you my update of my research, because this is what's going to let you know that my book is going to be very organized, and it's going to be everything's going to be factored down to the lowest common denominator to make it so easy for you to understand. Because all of what I wrote this last summer, when the other lady was helping me edit, was just really my research, though I didn't know it was my research. Because if you don't study everything at the micro level and understand how everything works, there's no way you're going to put everything together at the macro level. And so all of you who don't have the background in the details of all politics, religion, and science, you're only learning things from the macro level. But you never really get to understand the micro level and connect them all, because you got to pay for that. And it's expensive, okay? And so everyone is working from macro level perceptions, never truly understand the micro level of facts, and also how you characterize facts. And that's kind of the issue, is that we have a lot of narratives being supplied to facts that then when you have a belief system, you should die, it's very easy to give a narrative around the facts and it'll still be a fact. But the belief system is what needs to change. You don't have to die. But if you think you need to, then fine, take your antibiotics and do all your drugs and alcohol and snacks, and hey, have at it and go out with a bang. And then I guess you'll have a kid that will be a composite of you and your husband, and hopefully your kid will survive this next world. But maybe you can survive and your kid can survive, and y'all enjoy the world that you live in. All right, bye.